Welcome to another episode of the Tobago House of Assembly's Post-Executive Council Media Briefing. This week, the Secretary of Education, Youth Affairs and Sport, Huey Cadet, and the Secretary of Tourism and Transportation, Tracy Davidson Celestine, addressed the media.
Our recent CSEC and CAPE results. In terms of CSEC, the number of students who wrote the examination this year increased slightly. From 921 students last year, it was 943 this year. This year, examination results continue to show an upward trend in the number of students attaining 5 or more subjects, including maths and English A. The pass rate has moved from 36.3% in 2014 to 38.3% in 2015. More students attained grade 1 passes this year when compared to last year, with the figure growing from 439 students last year to 490 this year. 5 of our 9 schools showed significant improvement in their 2014 number of students attaining 5 or more passes, including maths and English. Mason Hall Secondary up 36.9%, Roxborough Secondary up 13.6%, and Harmons SDA up 11.3%. We also showed significant improvement at Speyside Secondary and Bishop's High School, with Harmons also maintaining their high performance at all examination levels. Female students continue to outperform male students considerably as it relates to obtaining full certificates at the CSEC level. The majority of our schools improved their performances in the area of mathematics. The overall pass rate for mathematics moved from 43.1% in 2014 to 46.1%, and 7 of our 9 secondary schools also saw improvement in English A, moving from 52.4% to 54% pass rate overall. In the area of modern studies, students who pursued subjects such as Principle of Business Economics and Social Studies continue to display outstanding performance levels. There's also been significant improvement in the overall pass rate for English A, which rose from 52.4%, as I said before, to 54% this year. We also saw encouraging growth in science and mathematics, and also we saw some significant improvements in the areas of agricultural science, AdMaths, office administration, home economics, electrical and electronic technology. What is also noteworthy, and we'd want to extend congratulations to Roxborough Secondary. A young man at Roxborough Secondary attained 11 passes. Students at Bishop's High School, Mason Hall Secondary, Signals Hill Secondary, Harmons SDA, Speyside High School also continued attaining high performance levels, with students receiving 8 and 9 passes respectively from those high schools. In terms of CAPE, a total of 300 students were registered for the examination. Our overall pass rate continued its upward trend that we have seen over the last couple of years. Our pass rate in 2015 was 92.4%, and this has seen an improvement where way back in 2011 we were way down at 89.2%. In terms of gender, of course, female students continue to outperform our male students at the CAPE level, as has happened at the CSEC level. The female performance improved from 92.1% to 94%, while the male performance remained on par, same as last year. Overall, all of our schools performed exceedingly well over their 2014 pass rates. In terms of performance by units, Unit 1 results remained on par with 2014, but the pass rate for Unit 2 increased from 92.4% to 95.2%. Again, we'd want to extend congratulations to our teachers and our principals and staff at our various high schools for their continued solid performances at the CSEC and CAPE level, and of course to those individual students whose results would have been required noteworthy attention. I'd also want to bring some information, of course, on a number of activities that were recently held. One, of course, was our Pan and Music Camp. Over the the period July 6th to 30th, our multicultural unit would have held our pan and music camp. Over 384 students between the persons, or children between the ages of 7 to 14 participated in the camp, and they would have received instructions in basic music literacy, instrument history, ethics, and playing the pan. They would have also been evaluated in both written and oral works, and all our participants would have been given certificates of participation at the end of the program. The participants were also exposed to guidance, counseling, conflict resolution, personal hygiene, self-esteem building, and literacy enhancement, which was conducted by a student support unit of the division. We would have also held our first annual IT camp at the Scarborough Library. There were 3 two-week sessions with 180 children in attendance, ranging from ages 5 to 12. The programs that were taught were Scratch and MIT app inventors, and essentially the kids who participated in the camp had the chance to create their own interactive stories and games. In the process, they learned to solve problems, design projects, and express themselves creatively on the computer. The closing ceremony for this camp will be held on the 21st of August, Friday 21st of August, at Signal Hill. Our sports camp was held over the period August 3rd to 14, and a total of 810 boys and girls participated between the age of 7 and 17. The camp took place at the following venues: the Kendall Aquatic Center, the YMCA pool at Corlan, at Shaw Park, Mount Pleasant, Canaan, and Moriah. 9 disciplines were covered in the camp, and this included football, hockey, tennis, basketball, swimming, volleyball, and cricket. We also held a number of youth camps through the Department of Youth at Union, Pembroke, Castarana, or Bethel Youth Centers. Over 160 persons participated in those camps. Some of the topics that were covered during the 2-week period included career enhancement, healthy lifestyles, agro-processing, jewelry making, and beauty culture. I would also now provide some information on our schools repair program. For July-August period 2015, our schools repair program will see 40 schools being repaired and refurbished during the period. The 40 schools are broken down into 26 primary schools, 5 secondary schools, and 9 early childhood and education centers. The scope of works will include some of the following: electrical, plumbing, mechanical, and building works, roofing, painting, and repaving of car park areas. The total cost of the program for 2015 is $23.8 million. And of course, we are monitoring the works to ensure that all our works will be completed in time for the opening of the new school year on September 8, 2015. I'd also want to bring to you the division would have provided support and assisted with 2 all-star teams in conjunction with the Tobago Football Association visiting Barbados and St. Lucia. These 2 teams are made up of both male and female players, and they would have been the standouts from our primary and secondary schools football league of 2014. It is the teams are to play games against Pineland, Kickstart Youth, and the Barbados Football Association Soccer Academy. They left on Sunday, and they return this Saturday, the 22nd. I would also want to extend congratulations at this time to Akeem Stewart, our double Parapan American Games double gold medalist. Akeem secured 2 medals at the games and put us 11th on the medal count. The medals were won in the discus and javelin F44 classification. So again, we want to extend congratulations to Akeem Stewart. He continues to set national and regional records, and we, of course, in the division and all of Tobago, we're proud for his most recent achievement. And of course, as we do with other athletes at this level, we continue to provide the level of support to ensure that he can continue to develop and compete at the international level. I just want to provide an update on our back pay also for the teachers. At this point in time, there are only 95 of our teachers yet to receive the outstanding arrears. We are working, and this is largely due to them not being in possession of their temporary appointment letters. We have had some discussions with the Chief Administrator and Audit, and we are currently preparing the worksheet for these teachers to ensure that the necessary auditing can be done and allow for that these persons can be paid within the next 2 weeks based on the audit schedule. I just want to, of course, advise of an upcoming activity of the Department of Youth, and that is, of course, the photography and video competition. I just want to advise the members, our young people, to be able to look out as this annual competition begins in September, and will, of course, include, as has happened before, the opportunity for them to have photos of different scenarios with the health, environment, people in action, night scenes, youth in positive development, what have different categories. Of course, as is customary, we would, of course, endeavor to provide very attractive prizes for the participants in our photography contest. But in addition to that, we would, of course, be hosting a workshop for the participants. They have, of course, give them the opportunity to improve their skills in the photography. The Tobago Junior ITF Tennis Championships began on Sunday 16th at Shaw Park and will continue until the 22nd. This tournament, of course, caters for juniors 11 to 18 years. This is a tournament that has, over the years, been done in conjunction with the division, the Tobago Assembly and Crusoe Isle Tennis Club, and has attracted players from not only the Trinidad, but the region, North America, Europe, and as far away as the Middle East and the Far East, because the juniors in this tournament are awarded points that they can accumulate to their overall standings in the tennis competition.
In an effort to ensure effective and easy access to the destination, the Division of Tourism and Transportation has been engaged in meeting with airlines so that we can identify the issues very early and to discuss opportunities for the destination. To date, we have met with 2 airlines, one being Gull being the newest carrier to the destination and providing 60 seats to us on a regular basis. There were some issues as it pertains to the contract, and we were able to iron out those issues and, most importantly, to treat with the operational matters as it pertains to Gull. Some of the things mentioned, we spoke about the fare structure, we spoke about opportunities having to do with the 2016 Olympic Games. Of course, we know that takes place in Brazil, and so we want to ensure that we are ready where the flight is concerned to receive the increase in demand that we expect. One of the things of importance to us at this time is ensuring that we have a Gull sales office both in Trinidad and Tobago that can provide information, ready information to persons who are willing to access the flight. We spoke to the opportunities for concession for group travel, issues of affecting accessing online bookings, the advertised fares, and basically the promotion of the service in Trinidad and Tobago by officials of Gull. The important thing is that within a short space of time, the issues that were identified were resolved, and we are hoping that going forward there can be continued positive and good relations with the Gull executives. I must tell you that to date, the flight is doing very well. We are seeing an increase in the numbers. As we know, Gull would have started flying to the destination from January 31st, 2015. And to date, we have been seeing an upward trend in terms of the persons who are accessing the flight. We also met with executives of the Condor Airlines who would have journeyed from Frankfurt to destination Tobago. As a matter of fact, it was the first time that those officials have come to Tobago for any face-to-face discussions with Tobago. To date, well, the objectives basically were to discuss current operations at the Condor service and to identify future opportunities for the destination. We have spoken about the restructuring at the Gulf Airlines and whether at Condor Airlines and whether there would be any impact or any implications for Destination Tobago. We were assured that the circumstances will remain unchanged. As a matter of fact, there is a replacement to treat with Tobago issues known as Mr. Wilkin Bellman, and he will now deal with long-haul services and treat specifically with Tobago. We also discuss opportunities serving the Scandinavian and the Baltic markets during the summer period. We have been talking about the Baltic market being an emerging market for Destination Tobago. We looked at operational matters having to do with discount rates and how we can work together to stimulate demand from those markets. We also spoke about how Condor can facilitate DOTT's or the Division of Tourism entry into the Chinese market. Already, we see quite a number of Chinese accessing the Condor flight for business purposes, and we want to be able to capitalize on that as well as to capitalize on those who would want to travel for the purpose of leisure. Most importantly, we looked at whether there can be any additional service from Frankfurt to Tobago. Currently, Gulf flies to Tobago once weekly, and we discuss opportunities for additional flights, twice weekly flights, as well as opening up other airline opportunities for Tobago. Those discussions have gone very well, and in the very near future, we will be bringing you specifics as it relates to the outcome of those discussions. Moving along, I want to mention that we have also been working on improvements to our sites and attractions. And sometime earlier this year, or probably late last year, I would have spoken to the opportunity to have canopy tours that will be established in the main forest reserve at Bloody Bay. And I am pleased to report on the progress of such a project, and that project will start in August 2015. Materials have already been procured and are on their way to Tobago. I am told that the project is due for completion during the first week of November 2015, and so the canopy tour will provide another opportunity for Tobago. Apart from that, we have been working on our physical buildings. We want to ensure that we have a memorable experience for the visitors to Tobago. And so the development of our sites, or attractions, or tourism facilities are an ongoing process. And since the start of the fiscal period, the division would have undertaken a total of 23 projects. To date, 11 of those projects have been completed and 12 are still in progress. We have spent so far approximately $9 million, and we have an outstanding $5 million to spend. We have spent that money on improvements to Fort King George, improvements to the Store Bay Beach facility, improvement work, and that is ongoing at Mount Irving, as well as to the Pigeon Point Heritage Park. Work is going apace at the Kings Bay Beach facility. It continues at the Mount Irving Beach facility, and there has been some recent work on the Bloody Bay and the Charlottesville Beach facilities as well. And in the new fiscal period, we will announce the other work that will take place on the different facilities. In the area of marketing, the Division of Tourism and Transportation has also been focusing very heavily on the traditional source markets as well as the new and emerging markets. And so we have our continuous marketing campaign, and we have been working endlessly with tour operators because our research tells us that tour operators are significant and very important in selling the destination. We have had several road shows in the Scandinavian market, and we are continuing our efforts towards the Scandinavia awareness marketing campaign, and we have been targeting well over 1.8 million passengers to date, because we have that direct flight that comes from the Scandinavia market to Tobago. In terms of the Baltics, I am pleased to report that we have new tour operators added. And one of the things that we are trying to do is to move away from the dependence on the traditional source markets and to move into new areas. And the Baltics is one of those markets. There is a strong interest from the Baltics to Tobago. We have some ties with the Latvians, strong cultural ties, and we have seen that every year a large group of the Latvians visit the destination and visit the island to be a part of the reenactment of the first landing. And so we want to capitalize on that opportunity as much as possible and use that in our efforts to sell the destination. We have also been doing some work in Czech Republic, and we continue apace to push marketing efforts in those destinations so that we can have more passengers coming to Tobago. In terms of Germany, Austria, and Switzerland, which is one of the second largest outbound travel destination in the world, with over 9,729 agencies, we have been working with over 800 travel agents to ensure that the message of Tobago gets out as much as possible. Our work continues in the UK market and with the travel agents Megafarm, and so far we are seeing the results of those partnerships and those collaborations as we continue to sell the destination of Tobago. In closing, I just want the public to know that between the period the 29th to the 31st of August, the Fort King George will be closed as a result of the independence. This year, the fireworks will be lighted from Fort King George so that those who are in Scarborough and environ will have a better view of the fireworks from that area. And so the facility will be closed from the 29th to the 31st of August to facilitate the fireworks in Scarborough.
What's the standing of the Cape and CSEC results compared to Trinidad?
Well, I think overall we still recognize that our performances, when we talk about what might be equal, I think we still have challenges that boys are underperforming, or the girls are performing better than the boys. We recognize that there still is a challenge with persons, the amount of students getting 5 or more passes, and we feel that compared to the national average, we are below. In terms of Cape, in a number of the subject areas, we are ahead. In terms of some of those subject areas, we are ahead or are on par. In terms of our performances in maths and English, we are below what would be considered the national average, and therefore that is the subject areas, the key areas that we have to work on improving our performance. The boys, improving the performance overall of boys, and also improving the performances of the number of students who come out with what you call a full certificate, including maths and English, and of course our performances as it relates to those two people call the foundational subjects, maths and English. In terms of Cape, our performances at the Cape level is in keeping with the national standard. Our performances continue to be very well at the Cape level.
With regards to the repair works at the schools, could you just give us the status, what is going on with regards to safety measures that were supposed to be implemented, fencing, cameras being installed? What is the division doing with regards to this?
We continue to do as much as we can. So obviously that maintaining this entire school plant, if we talk about 50 schools, if you add our early childhood, is a lot. So we continue to, what we have done is, again, based on the funding that we have, because I think it's no secret that the shortfall in funding from the central government. We have tried to put prioritize the works that have been done in terms of renovations, reconstruction. We have also had discussions with fire services and OSHA in terms of the timing for implementation. So we continue to do some of those works. We're hoping, as funding allows, going into the new financial year, into the new academic year, that those works will continue in the months ahead. We recognize that funding and time will not allow us to do all things. So we're doing it in terms of priority. Those issues that are more urgent, more severe, those schools that, as we said before, more that may have greater at risk of more greater challenges, that they are given the greater attention. We have not started the installation of any new cameras as yet, because that really is a funding issue. We have not gotten the kind of funding that we have had. The shortfall in funding does not allow us to move forward with that in the manner that we would like. So we've placed focus on the health and safety issues in terms of fire extinguishers, smoke alarm. That's what we're trying to focus now, and then move towards those other areas as funding allows. So we're hoping that in the months ahead, we will continue to do take off more and more schools off the list, or complete more and more the outstanding ones as identified by principals and our technical persons.
You mentioned that Gulf Airlines are experiencing an upward trend. Can you give us some of the statistics to back that up?
From the last meeting we have had, the executive would have indicated that they are seeing an increase of about 300%. Of course, we're starting off from relatively small numbers, but to date, from February to July, it shows that kind of increase. You have to remember that the seat allocation for the destination is just about 60. I know in terms of the latest statistics on Saturday, when the flight came in, there were about 42 passengers on board out of the 60, so that represents about 60–70% of the load factor to the destination. And in going out, there were 60 passengers, so that is basically a full allocation. So it is doing very well. We continue to push the marketing efforts as much as possible, and that flight can bring significant benefits to Tobago.
We would have been, talking about the refurbishments to the ANR Robinson Airport for a while. Are you satisfied with what is taking place in terms of the outlook?
Well,
if you would have seen it recently?
Yes, I am always at the airport trying to monitor what is happening, and then, of course, traveling between Trinidad and Tobago. No, I am not satisfied with the pace of work taking place at the ANR airport, especially given the deadlines that we would have received in past meetings. But first and foremost, I'm really not satisfied with what has transpired to date, because as I would have indicated earlier, we expected a new airport. And then after those discussions, we found out that it moved or evolved into repairs costing about $44 million. And so the question was asked whether that couldn't have been phase one of the new airport that we would have requested. Again, that request was not acceded to, and to date we are seeing very, very slow repairs to the facility. We also had some issues with where domestic check-in would be as opposed to the international check-in departures. We're hoping that at least that was listened to, and that there would be some turnaround or movement in terms of where domestic check-in is as opposed to where international check-in will be. So there are endless issues. We all raise them at several meetings, and like any other thing else, they would have fallen on deaf ears.
Thank you for staying with us for the Tobago House of Assembly's Post-Executive Council Media Briefing for the week ending August 22nd, 2015.